You guys are going to see. You're going to literally see the craters on the moon with your own eyes. With your own eyes, I'm telling you.
Remember then Vice President Kamala Harris on the front porch of the Vice President's official residence with those children that they auditioned in California and flew into Washington to sit on the couch, and they were told to pretend to be enthusiastic. Remember that? They were trained actors that they flew in to do a Soviet-style propaganda video for Kamala Harris and the Democrats. The news media gobbled it up like the lapdogs that they are. But I was reminded of that this morning because there's a fun news story. I like the sky. I like the night sky. I like, the moon. Did you see the crescent moon today? Incredible. Bright orange crescent, very slender crescent moon this morning at moonrise here in Washington. And it was bright orange when it rose, the crescent moon. Beautiful. I like the sky. I follow the sky a bit, planets and things, and there's a big deal going on. It's a big deal. Rare 7-planet parade happens this week. And it's a 7-planet parade. Nobody cares about Pluto anymore. I still care about Pluto. Not just a cartoon character to me. It's also our most distant planet in our solar system. I don't like planets being excluded. What kind of racism is that about? So there's kind of a remarkable thing in the sky this week. Stargazers, the Fox weather people type, stargazers have something to look forward to Friday, as the 7 other planets in our solar system will be visible with little help in a rare event. The 7 other, I feel they're discriminating against Pluto, aren't they? They're leaving Pluto out, and I would include Pluto. They say Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. That's Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn will all be visible without any optical assistance, according to NASA. How much do we pay them to figure that out for us? That's about $1 trillion to catch Neptune and Uranus. Now, is it Uranus or Uranus? Because either way, third graders get a laugh out of it. Isn't that true? And that means in this studio we probably do too. But there it is. To catch Neptune and Uranus, you need the help of a telescope. Well, that doesn't make it very exciting, does it? But it's kind of fun. So on Friday this week, the event is known as an alignment. Of course it is. It's known as an alignment. What else would it be known as? The planets are actually always lined up, but we can just see them all at once. The planets are always in a line called an ecliptic. It's what is it? The ecliptic, where the plane, where the orbit of the sun, because they line up with the sun. It's the big ball of fire in the sky that has something to do with climate change and the temperature on the Earth. It's a huge ball of fire millions of miles away. As the planets race around the sun at different speeds, sometimes they line up on the same side of the sun, appearing closely together in the night sky. Best time to see the planets will be shortly after sunset on Friday. Now, see, I think that's kind of a fun thing. I'll probably do something about that. Maybe someplace where you can have a cool beverage, someplace where you might have maybe even food, all that stuff. But I think that's fun, and I will doubtless. I hope it's not if it's cloudy, then forget about it. There's nothing there. But then the next night it'll be close to the same. And I follow stuff like a little bit. I'm not crazy about it, but I follow things like that to some degree. So on some degree or another. So when I saw it, I decided I want to share it with you. Just like these terrorists of Hamas accidentally setting their time bombs for PM instead of AM. So they blew up the city buses at 9:30 at night instead of at morning rush hour when they were full of people. Because every day is an IQ test, right? Yes, we've got that going for us. Isn't that amazing? Now, welcome back. Welcome back once again, and a very pleasant Tuesday to you all. We continue to be at 888-630-9625, and there were a lot of funny stories out of MSNBC yesterday. And I know, people losing their jobs. Not very funny, and we're actually going to miss Joyless Reed because we have long used Joyless Reed audio on our radio show because she's so berserk. She's so insane. She's such a nut, a racist, a lunatic, and she hates gay people. But when you're a Democrat, that's okay, especially if you're a WOC, a woman of color. Then you're definitely okay. But last night, we were learning, and in fact, we learned yesterday afternoon that Joyless Reed, a horrible, terrible person who was employed until yesterday by MSDNC TV, left-wing, radical extremist cable channel, in the service of the Democrat Party. So naturally, they have a lot of racists because, it's the Democrat Party. Come on. Confederacy and the KKK and Jim Crow, the Democrat Party, the bullwhip, Robert Mapplethorpe. See, I said that last week, and I had a caller say, I got that reference. But that's I don't want to direct anybody to it. You either know it or you don't. It's one of those things. All right, but here we go. They've got one white woman there, Jen Psaki. Remember Jen Psaki? She's going to circle back. She's still circling back on all those lies that she told from the White House podium. And the people in the New York Post have a good story. Jen Psaki. They pronounce it Psaki, even though there's a P in front of it. It's like pneumonia. It's kind of like pneumonia. Jen Psaki comes out on top. Wait a minute. I haven't seen that. Of MSNBC shakeup as network axes shows by three more lefty anchors after Joy Reid ouster. They ousted Joy Reid, you see. And she's horrible. She's just a terrible person. But the New York Post has another story. MSNBC host Rachel Maddow rips own network for axing Joy Reid's show. See, it wasn't Joy Reid. Didn't she fill in for Rachel Maddow? And oh, that was Alex Wagner who filled in for, because they were paying Rachel Maddow $30 million a year. That's true. $30 million a year to do 1 hour a week. And she was doing 5 nights a week. She decided, I'm working too much. That's 1 hour a day. That's way too much. So they said, okay, we'll keep you on for $30 million a year, and you'll only have to do 1 hour a week. 1 hour a week. And she said, well, okay, you twisted my arm. You convinced me. I'll do 1 hour a week for $25 million a year. And, well, actually it was 30. Yeah, but then they reduced her pay from 30 million to 25 million. Amazing stuff. It's tough. The Democrat hate machine. They use corporate money and taxpayer money and government money, anything they can get their claws into. But this is an amazing story because first we learned that Joyless Reed was let go, racist that she is, which they're fine with, by the way. And then we learned just hours after that they had let go several more left-wing radical lunatics. And that's where it really got entertaining because 3 more lefty anchors, the New York Post. MSNBC host Jen Psaki will slide into a new primetime slot as part of a massive shakeup that includes the ouster of President Trump bashing anchor Joy Reid, known mostly to people as Joyless because she had no joy whatsoever. The embattled network confirmed on Monday, that was yesterday, Jen Psaki, the former White House press secretary for Joe Biden, will take over the 9 p.m. duties Tuesday through Friday, from current host Alex Wagner, beginning in late April. You wouldn't want to rush into anything like this. The overhaul at the left-leaning network by the new president, Rebecca Cutler. Rebecca Cutler is the new president over there. Also includes axing weekend shows hosted by Ayman, and this guy, I always call him, it's Ayman Muhadin. I call him Ayman Mujahideen. Ayman Mujahideen is that's his code name with the FBI. So Ayman Mujahideen is now fired. Jonathan Capehart, who is a black gay man. Therefore, he's going to sue. He's going to sue everybody. I'll bet $1 right now. And Jose Diaz-Balart is a radical left-wing anti-American, commie. He's basically a commie type, Jose Diaz-Balart. And he's got a brother what's his brother, Balart, is a member of Congress, right? A member of the House of Representatives, or at least was. Haven't heard from lately. So MSDNC laid off Ima Mujahideen and Jonathan Capehart and Jose Diaz-Balart, and they laid off Katie Fang. Katie Fang, that's, is she related to Fang Fang, do you think? The Chinese secret agent spy having a long-time sexual affair with Democrat Congressman Eric Swalwell? Because, these guys, just amazing. And amazing stuff. Now, let me, I've got some audio that I want to share with you, as a matter of fact, because this is kind of fun. Now, the headline at the radical left-wing extremist Mediaite, MSNBC's Rachel Maddow. Now, I didn't explain back here, but she's taking over Tuesday through Friday, because on Monday night, that's when Rachel Maddow does her 1 hour a week for $25 million a year. And that is a good deal if you can get it, I've got to say. Do you think they'd hire me at MSNBC to do 1 hour a week? Because I'd do it for $20 million a year, 1 hour a week. I mean to negotiate out in public here, but isn't that amazing? So Jen Psaki gets big promotion, allegedly, if you can call it that. 9 p.m. Tuesday through Friday, and 9 p.m. on Monday will be Rachel Maddow, 1 day a week for $25 million a year, because, they said, and they've been saying this for 20 years now, that Rachel Maddow, they don't want her going to some other network, All right, so let's go to the Democrats in the media, who couldn't be more corrupt if their goal were to become more corrupt. Let's go to soundbite numero uno, as the Democrats say. Joyless Reed on her last show that they let her do. And listen to the communist rhetoric, the communist language that she uses about her comrades.
I want to bring in my pals, Rachel Maddow, Nicole Wallace, and Lawrence O'Donnell. I wanted you guys to be here with me because you are my comrades in arms in covering this insane moment that we're in.
It's an insane moment that we're in. They've told her that she's losing her job. Therefore, it's an insane moment. And it's her comrades in arms. They're always using this martial language, this militaristic, violent language. Then Rachel Maddow gave us about $200,000 worth of stuff in this.
Well, first I want to say that I love you, Joy.
I love
and
you.
that I am bereft
They're in
that
love.
the readout is ending. I just can't even, I sort of can't get beyond that.
Sort of can't get beyond that. That was worth about $180,000. What she said right there. Rachel Maddow wasn't done.
Find people who you respect and trust and love and make common cause with them and help yourself by learning from them and help them by standing up for them. And I think we have tried to do that. And I think that in important ways we have failed, but I think it's still the right thing to try to do.
Yeah, nobody knows what that meant. That didn't mean anything, Rachel Maddow.
None of us can do this alone, and being atomized and dislocated and picked off one by one is a strategy of the other side, and we need to stick together.
Indeed. And when you're hearing Rachel say that, know that no one fights for us harder in this company than Rachel Maddow. And when I tell you she is our fearless leader, we mean it, and she is our super friend.
All right, now clean out your desk and get out of the building. You've got 10 minutes. That's Rachel. Maybe Rachel can give you $1 million a year out of her $25 million a year paychecks, since you're going to be at home throwing cards into a hat. And they're in love. Did it sound like they're in love? It sounded like they're in love, didn't it? I've got more on the MSDNC. It's the St. Valentine's Day massacre. It's like jihad. And it's what the other side does. Whatever the hell that means. They're constantly at war with sane people, with normal people. They're mentally ill. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is finally here. And the Thunderstorm builds on the incredible success of the previous two generations. And Then those models quickly became bestsellers. And honestly, this new thunderstorm uses two technologies that studies have demonstrated help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air, removes dust and pet stuff and smoke and all kinds of nastiness in the air, also helps get rid of any odor floating in the air. No filters to buy and replace over and over again. You can hold a thunderstorm in one hand like this. The thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Talking litter boxes and smelly shoes. Left-wing protesters, no match for the thunderstorm. This week only, buy one thunderstorm, get one for free. That's buy one, get one. BOGO. No matter how many you buy, you get an equal number for free. Put one in your bedroom, your family room, your kitchen, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com. EdenPureDeals.com. Use the discount code ChrisBOGO. That's for buy one, get one free. Buy one, get one. Chris Bogo. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Chris Bogo. Yes, sir. Yeah, the Democrats there. No, that's what the other side does. Whatever the hell that means. You're fired, too, for that matter. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. Lawrence O'Donnell on MSDNC last night compared the firings at MSNBC to the killings, the murders by the KKK Democrats of 3 civil rights workers in 1964 in Mississippi. That makes sense to them because their brains they're all broke. They're not very good. All right, let's take a phone call, Michael. Let's go to Mike calling from Middletown, New Jersey. Mike, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for taking my call. Love the show.
Thank you.
Well, I'm just wondering, on the new Jen Psaki program, will she allow her guests to answer, may I circle back on that question? Because I'm sure they'll make for scintillating ratings on MSNBC.
Honestly, the ratings have dropped 53% since Election Day on MSNBC. And they came to Joyless Reed, who they pay $3 million a year, according to Newsweek magazine. And they said, listen, your ratings are down by more than half. We want to reduce your pay. And she said no. So now she's going to be living in a cardboard box.
Yes. Personally, I think that sonograms would get better ratings than anything on MSNBC.
Sonograms. That's great. Yeah. Of human beings. Yeah, that is little helpless, tiny babies. That's it's true that I've got a little montage that we did for my Newsmax show last night that I want to share to you of Joy Reid and what she's all about. And I think it'll help explain, Mike, why nobody watches her show. Because these people... I
look forward to it, Chris.
Well, thanks, buddy. Thanks a lot, Michael. These people, can I just say these people? And, Lawrence O'Donnell, it's like the civil rights movement. I'd like to point out that these people have no sense of irony. They engage in ironic behavior quite regularly. But they have no sense of irony whatsoever, these people. Now, they're caterwauling out loud about a comparatively small number of government employees who are being laid off, and it matters if you're one of the people being laid off, of course, and, your household and all that. But many fewer people than Bill Clinton and Al Gore laid off from the government when they were in charge at the White House and the Veep's residence. And they bragged about it and held press conferences, how great it was. The age of big government, the era of big government is over. And Bill Clinton and Al Gore, who wants his chakra released wherever he goes, they went to the Rose Garden at the White House and held a press conference and bragged about the hundreds of thousands, more than 400,000 government employees that they laid off because the era of big government was over. And they're happy about that. Now, President Trump, a small fraction of that, And the same news media goes bat guano crazy over this. What an outrage it is, because were it not for double standards, they would have no standards at all, and they have no sense of irony whatsoever, right? And, again, ironic that at the same time where the news media is caterwauling about layoffs taking place in the government, and, again, if you're the one laid off, it's obviously a horrible thing, a traumatic thing. But at the same time, NBC is laying people off all over the place, and I've been talking about this for weeks. They're laying off their on-air people, their not on-air people. At CNN, they're laying off people by the plane load. At the Washington Post, they're laying off people all over the place, and it's for business reasons, of course. And by the way, the Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos, who is a centabillionaire himself, worth way over 100. I think he's at about $250 billion or $300 billion, something crazy like that. And he's laying off people at the Washington Post. And the news media, they don't see that. They're just outraged that President Trump would lay off anybody. He's the biggest employer in the country with about 3 million employees. But never mind any of that. At NBC Fake News, they're very, very upset. Now, let's go back to Nicole Wallace, who used to pretend to be a Republican. Now she pretends to be a journalist at NBC Fake News.
I am, it's like losing a limb, the thought of doing those nights without you. And I think that my reaction to the end of the readout and your departure is despair. And the only thing that chips away at that for me is that despair is the autocrat's tool. It's their most effective weapon. It costs nothing. It's easy to deploy. It's contagious. And then it puts in motion all the actions they want.
Despair is the autocrat's tool. Despair, and this is this is an autocrat. You see, that is now. They're left-wing radicals who hate America that run NBC News. They've made that clear every day for many years now. And she's calling them autocrats. So the fascists, I'm just going to quote Nicole Wallace, who's still there in good standing at the network, that despair is the autocrat's tool. And that is pretty amazing that this is and they put it in motion, you see, because they've got an agenda and they're using despair methodically and it's contagious because it's the autocrat's tool, right?
Despair is the autocrat's tool.
And it's contagious and it spreads like monkeypox at a Democrat Christmas party. Or they don't really have Christmas parties. Dog is their co-pilot. They got all that stuff. But isn't that amazing? It's like losing a limb, and it's the despair is the real problem, and it's the autocrat's tool. Isn't that amazing? That losing a limb reminds me of a story that I read yesterday, and it's kind of an amazing story in the New York Post about the war in Ukraine. Amputee Ukrainians return to the front lines of war, stronger than ever. I'm sorry, what? What are you talking about? Sure. They're the ones the Russians couldn't kill, the story says. Ukrainian soldiers who are on the brink of death after losing limbs to Russia's invading army are now back on the front lines, equipped with new prosthetics and new determination to protect their country. And then they go on, a 38-year-old Andrei Rubik, and lost both his arms and a leg after being blown up by Russians, one of the many amputees who have volunteered to return to service to stop Moscow's increasing gains in Ukraine. All right. Things are tough over there. That is pretty crazy, but I saw that article, and I wanted to share that with you. Isn't that nutty? Man, oh, man. I'm telling you. Just crazy. Crazy. Also, while I was researching this, I found another story from back in October of last year, just about 4 months ago. And the Daily Mail had a story. Ukrainian men yell, "Get away from me," as they're dragged out of nightclubs and restaurants by army recruiters during targeted raids. So they have the Ukrainian army going into restaurants and clubs and dragging men out. They're being forcibly conscripted into the military because, after all, they got this guy with 3 limbs blown off who's returned to the front lines because it's Ukraine. You know, it's not Indiana. This is not the United States of America. And here they are in October, the military going into restaurants and clubs and dragging men out, and they're screaming. The men are screaming, "Get away from me," as they're being dragged out of nightclubs and restaurants by army they're called recruiters. Our recruiting stations are different than that in the United States. Very different indeed. All right, but since she said it's like losing a limb, I was reminded of those stories, wanted to share them while they were in front of me here. Nicole Wallace on MSDNC last night, who said it's like losing a limb, and they're using despair because despair is the tool of the autocrats, and they're the autocrats at NBC News.
I think waiting for someone to save us is kind of how we got here. We have to save ourselves.
Waiting for someone to save us.
Decide that Elon Musk getting, I don't even know what the word is. He's already the richest person in the world.
What are you talking
richer
about?
Than the richest person, to ever exist. I don't even know what the goal is, but what? I think that turning this over to the country and saying, you may think this is what you wanted, but this is not who we are.
Yeah.
Politics. Yeah. That was Matt out there. Yeah. Now, what does Elon Musk have to do with layoffs at MSNBC exactly? What, he hasn't bought it and saved it? And we have to save ourselves. The autocrats, rulers with absolute power. Just amazing. Someone who insists on complete obedience from others. That is, and she's talking about, she's confused Elon Musk and Donald Trump with NBC News executives who are firing multi-million-dollar employees because their ratings were reduced by more than half after the election, and they're not making any money. But they're still paying these really dumb people millions and millions of dollars a year to do shows that nobody watches, that are full of disinformation. Isn't that amazing? Just remarkable stuff. And Elon Musk, what are you even talking about? Man. Now, we have last night, I want to use last night on my show on Newsmax, The Right Squad at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. The great producers on my show, Kira and Jeff and John, put together, and Eric put together a great montage of the lunatic Joyless Reed being Joyless Reed on MSDNC.
Similarities to what happened in Germany and what's happening now in America are just undeniable. They can drive out the brown people and the black and Asian people, or just sink them into the same apartheid they've created in Texas. Black voters came through for Kamala Harris. White women voters did not. And this will be the second opportunity that white women in this country have to change the way that they interact with the patriarchy. And you didn't even have to storm the Capitol, smash the windows, or try to kill police officers or issue death threats to poll workers. See? You did it just by voting this time. Congrats. You got your way. And he even got away with breaking the law. Yay.
Stop shooting people. Stop looting the Walgreens and the CVS. Stop attacking police and police cars. Stop burning. Stop looting. Stop firebombing and shooting Tesla dealerships. Stop self-immolating in Tesla vehicles at the Trump Hotel. Stop the suicide attacks on police. There were no police killed on January 6th, which is, of course, what she's talking about. And what did race have to do with it again? Germany, Nazis, apartheid, like in Texas, where everybody's moving to get away from filth like you racist swine. That's German for pig. That's a little German for pig there. I'm sorry, apartheid, Texas, Germany. What the hell are you talking about? Racist. And that was her on her show being herself. Rachel Maddow. Then she had a show last night because one night a week she has a show on Monday for $25 million a year. And here's Rachel Maddow starting her show last night. She's very upset about Germany and apartheid and Nazis and racism and something. Who knows? And Elon Musk, I guess, is firing people at MSNBC, even though he's not. but the mental breakdown that is NBC fake news, and MSNBC is NBC News, make no mistake. Rachel Maddow being Rachel Maddow last night.
Joy Reid's show, The Readout, ended tonight. And Joy is not taking a different job in the network. She is leaving the network altogether. And that is very, very, very hard to take.
Three varies. It's very, very, very hard to take. The ironically named Joy. It's like The View. They have Joy and Whoopi and Sunny. And they're three of the most miserable, wretched people infecting the face of the planet Earth. Isn't that amazing? So Rachel Maddow, what was that sentence worth? As you do it by the word. She doesn't utter, 5,000 words a year, I think, on television. Rachel Maddow.
I love everything about her. I have learned so much from her. I have so much more to learn from her. I do not want to lose her as a colleague here at MSNBC. And personally, I think it is a bad mistake to let her walk out the door. Well, it is not my call, and I understand that. But that's what I think.
But that's what she wields all power. Didn't we just hear that she wields all power and saves everybody at Rachel Maddow?
I will tell you, it is also unnerving to see that on a network where we've got two non-white hosts in primetime, both of our non-white hosts in primetime are losing their shows, as is Katie Fang on the weekend.
Racist, authoritarian.
And that feels worse than bad.
Racist.
No matter who replaces them. That feels indefensible, and I do not defend it.
It's indefensible, and I do not defend it. She knows what that word indefensible means. She is a Rhodes Scholar. Isn't that amazing? Also, the ridiculous people. They have Lawrence O'Donnell. You may remember Lawrence O'Donnell. We play audio of him from time to time bragging that he's a socialist. He's not a liberal. He's a socialist, and therefore he would kill all of humanity.
Unlike you, I am not a progressive. I am not a liberal who's so afraid of the word that I had to change my name to progressive.
I'm not either.
Liberals amuse me. I am a socialist. I live to the extreme left. The extreme left of you mere liberals, okay?
And they love that, the extreme left. He's not a liberal. He's and where's the authoritarian? Where's the Nazi? Where's the the Nazis were the Socialist Workers' Party of Germany, just by the way. And then wackadoodle-doo, Lawrence O'Donnell, the socialist, he was on last night. And listen to this, because he cites, like everybody knows who Michael Schwerner is. Michael Schwerner was a civil rights activist who was murdered in 1964. He was with CORE, the Congress of Racial Equality, and the Klan allegedly killed him in 1964 in Mississippi. And here is Lawrence O'Donnell last night explaining what it's like to have two black people at MSNBC lose their jobs. It's like the lynching of 3 civil rights workers in Mississippi in 1964, and he thinks everybody has Michael Schwerner's name on the tip of their tongue.
These dark hours have demanded things of people that they have risen to in the past. You know, Michael Schwerner didn't join a political campaign. He didn't need a leader to tell him what to do. He just did it. He just got on that bus and he went to Mississippi. He just did it. And everyone can just do it.
What are you talking about? They're so disconnected from the real world. Just crazy. Michael Schwerner, 24 years old in 1964, killed by Democrats dressed up in Klan uniforms. They were hoping to be more like Senator Robert Byrd when they grew up. Democrat Party created the KKK. Only Klansman I ever met was Senator Robert Byrd, a Democrat from West Virginia. Michael Schwerner, I learned today, was born in Pelham, New York, and raised in Pelham, New York. I was born in Pelham, New York. Technically, the hospital was in Bronxville, but we were living in Pelham, New York at the time. My first few years in school in Pelham, New York. I didn't know Michael Schwerner, though, and neither does anyone else.
Despair is the autocrat's tool.
Fun political cartoon a friend of mine just sent me. Mark, and it's a political cartoon by a political cartoonist by the name of Gary Varvel. And Gary Varvel has a great political cartoon today. It's a classroom with screaming children with their mouths wide open. You can see their tonsils and their uvulas. And the teacher in front with an apple on her desk, and it says pop quiz on the chalkboard. And the nice teacher is smiling, a globe. The teacher says to the classroom full of screaming kids, one crying into her hands, says, pop quiz, ... List 5 things you did last week. List 5 things you did last week, the teacher to the screaming classroom. And the kids are screaming, this is harassment. We're being bullied. Wah! And they're screaming and crying. And at the bottom of the frame, it says, future government workers. Future government workers. We should post that, I think, so people can share it. Let's grab, we don't have a ton of time, but let's go to Tom calling from Northern Virginia. Thomas, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Tom.
First-time caller, long-time listener.
Excellent. Love
I
that.
love your humor and the critical subjects of our time.
They're everywhere.
Anyway, I'm a retired service mechanic who worked in the D.C. area for 40 years. So I worked a lot of government sites, State Department, EPA, HUD, FCC, USDA, NRL, Treasury Department, military bases, and et cetera. So I got around. So over the years, I had to interact with a lot of federal and GSA personnel. Some were okay and took their jobs, seriously and with pride. But here's the big but. Mm-hmm. I don't have enough toes or fingers for the times I was to meet people, and they would be absent. I could never find them. They were derelict in their duties. I was hired to do jobs that they refused to do. I saw a lot of no accountability. They couldn't be fired. And it was like some of the federal employees I met, they had like a strange contempt for their own jobs and the federal government in general. It was really strange. So that's my comment.
Well, that's a good and qualified comment. You explained your experience very well and clearly, and I appreciate that. And yeah, it is. It's different. It's not the private sector. And the really outrageous thing is we've got somebody now that just wants to look under the hood. And if you look at the people that are doing everything they can to obstruct that, then you're looking at guilty people.